Okay, this is going to be the Algebra 2, Chapter 5 review on quadratics and factoring. Okay, so make sure you get your sample test from your teacher. I'm going to go through some things with my class. The first page of this review, you should be expected to know how to do this stuff without a calculator, and then with it going forward from there. Okay, all right, so for number 1, all right, the way we have to factor that, all right, we're going to make our boxes, okay? Inside of our boxes, we're going to have 16x squared, negative 25. Now, because it's a missing middle term problem, I can take the square roots of both of those, which would give me 4x and 5, okay? Now, what that's going to be is 4x and 5 on both. Now, we have to figure out which one's positive, which one's negative. Now, this box, if I multiply 4x times 5, I get 20x. Now, these have to add up to give me my middle term. My middle term here is 0, so this has got to be negative, which we know about the boxes, that makes that negative. So my factors are 4x plus 5, 4x minus 5. Basically, when you have missing middle term, you're taking square roots, one's positive, one's minus, okay? All right, let me scroll down here to number 2, okay? All right, what you should always check when you do this, look for GCFs, all right? Do I have any variables in common? No. Every number, a letter does not, or every term does not have a variable. Any numbers I can take out? No. So now I'm going to start x squared, 64. All right, now, if there's a 1 here, 1 times 64 is 64. What I'm looking for is multiples of 64 that would add together to get me 16. 8 and 8 would add together. All right, that makes it work. All right, so I look this way. Letter GCF is x, no number. This way, no letter, but my number here is 8. Looking this way, I've got a letter, but no number. This way, I've got this. Okay, so it's going to be x plus 8, x plus 8. Okay, and that's the factors of this one. All right, here's a grouping one. Okay, just like these. All right, I look across, no variables in common, no numbers in common. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the boxes. 7a, 21, 3ax, 9x. If I look across this way, the only thing I can take out is an a. All right, no numbers. This way, no variables, but I can take out a 3. This way, I can take out a 7, but no variables. All right, this way I can take out x. I can also take out 3. So what I got is a plus 3, 7 plus 3x. Okay, those are the factors for that one. I'm going back up here to number 4. Okay. All right, I can't take out any variables. I can't take out a number, so I'm going to go right to my boxes. 2x squared and 6. Now, if I multiply this times this, I get 12. Okay? So what I'm looking for is a set of factors of 12 that would add up to be negative 7. And so that's what that's going to be, is negative 3 and negative 4. They multiply together to get me that. They add together to get me that. So that's negative 4x, negative 3x. Looking this way, I only have x. Looking this way, I have 2 with no variable. Now, since that first box I come to is negative, that's going to be negative. If I look down, all right, I got 2 and I've got x, okay? If I look down this way, I got negative 3, all right? No variable. So I got 2x minus 3, x minus 2, okay? That is the factors of that, okay? Now, when I come here to number 5, do I have any variables in common? I do. I can take out an x because each term has it. Now, the key thing you should do is put that down with your answer, because you don't want to forget it. That's x squared minus 1x minus 12, okay? So when I do my boxes on this one, x squared, negative 12, once again, I'm looking for factors of negative 12, because 1 times negative 12 is negative 12. Numbers that would multiply together to get me that would add to give me that. So negative 4 and 3, that's negative 4x and 3x. If I'm looking across, I can take out an x, but no number. Looking across, no variable, but I can take out a negative 4. Looking this way, I can take out x, okay, but no number. This way, I can take out 3. So what my answer is x times x minus 4 times x plus 3, okay? And that's the factors of this one, okay? Moving on to number 6. No variables, but I can take out a number. I can take out 3. So I'm going to put 3 down here, divide these by 3. I got x squared plus 6x plus 8, okay? Go into my boxes, x squared and 8, okay? All right, multiples of 8, okay? That would add up to give me that. That's 2 and 4. 2x and 4x. I can take out an x, but no other number. Can't take out a letter, but I can take out 2. Take out a letter but no number. Can take out a number. Okay, so that's x plus 4, x plus 2, all right there. Okay. Key thing is when you take out that GCF, go down and put it with your answer so you don't forget. Okay. All right. There's a quadratic whose zeros are negative 2 and 5. Write the equation. Well, what we know is that if the first thing you got to do, if you got the solutions or zeros, is make them into factors. Well, my factors are going to be x plus 2, x minus 5. Okay? So when they move down, that's going to be opposite. Now, to figure out what the polynomial or the equation is going to be, okay, what the equation is going to be, all right, I'm going to go ahead and multiply these in my boxes. X and 2, x and negative 5. That's x squared, 2x. All right, that times that would give me negative 5x. That times that would give me negative 10. So my polynomial is going to be x squared minus 3x minus 10. Okay, because I combine those 2 minus 5. Okay, sketch a graph. If it crosses at negative 2, it would be here. Crosses at 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm just going to make a little thing like that. Okay? All right, I believe that's the end of the first page. All right? Moving on to the second page. Use factoring to give all the solutions. Okay? Now, you can find this a number of different ways. All right? You can use your boxes to factor things. Okay? All right? But one thing you got to do is make sure everything is on one side. So what I would do is I'm going to take 6 and move it over here. Now, a good rule of thumb is when I move it over here, that's going to change to be opposite. So what I got is 7x squared, all right, plus 19x, all right, minus 6, okay? All right, now, in my class, what we do is we go to the calculator to use that. You can factor everything.
Attention, all members of the Osmond Park Track and Field team, you need to be in room 2A, which is the large group room that sits next to the library on the second floor. By 2:30, once we start, the doors will be closed. You need to be there at 2:30, and I know you can tell time. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, that's Coach Feldman if you're watching the video. All right, so the solutions, let me go back and go through this. I can go to equation, okay? I got a 2-degree polynomial. I type in 7, 19, negative 6. I hit solve. All right, I get solutions of 2 7s, okay? I also get a solution of x equals negative 3, okay? Now, if you factored it, what would end up happening is that's going to be 7x minus 2 times the quantity x plus 3, if you factor it. And what you do is you set these equal to 0 and solve, and you would get the same result. On number 10, what you're going to want to do is move that 10x over. So I got 15x squared minus 10x, okay? All right. If you're looking to take out a GCF there, I can take out 5x out of that, which will leave me with 3x minus 2, okay? And if you solve those, you would get answers of 0 and 2/3, okay? Another way to do it is when you're at this step, what I would type in is 15, negative 10, whoops, it's 110. Let me go back, hold on. 15, negative 10, 0. Solve. 2/3 and 0. Okay? On this one, everything's already set up nicely for you. If you wanted to type that in, okay, that's going to be 3, 5, negative 2. If I go to solve, I get 1/3 and I get negative 2. 1/3 and x equals negative 2. If you're factoring that, that would be a 3x minus 1, x plus 2. You're setting those equal to 0. For those that are choosing to solve that way, all right? And as you can see, 3x equals 1, x equals 1/3, okay? X plus 2 equals 0. That's going to be x equals negative 2. You can do it either way. This one, I'd have to move 64 back, okay? If you're factoring that, that would be d plus 8, d minus 8. If you're using the calculator, all right, you'd have 1, no middle term, which would be 0, and then negative 64. And if you solve, you get, whoops, I had to put negative 6, negative 64. All right, solve, I get x equals 8, x equals negative 8. All right, that's how you do that. All right, moving on. Solve by finding the square root. Okay? All right, so what you have to do on this one, I have to add 48, okay? Or you can think of it this way. I can move 48 to the other side. That's going to be 2y squared equals 48. Divide by 2. I got y squared equals 24. Now, I'm going to take the square root, plus and minus, okay? Now a reminder on how we reduce those, the square root of 24. 2 and 6, 2 and 3. That's on the outside. So I got x equals plus and minus 2, square root of 3. That would be my answer. This one, I'm going to add 1. I get x minus 5 squared equals 36. Square root plus and minus. Well, what's the square root of 36? Square root of 36 is going to be, all right, this is going to get things frozen for a second. Hold on. The square root of 36 is going to be plus and minus 6. All right. I'm going to then, what I'm going to want to do next, okay, plus and minus. So I got plus and minus 6. I got x minus 5. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to add 5 to that side. That's going to be 5 plus and minus 6. So 5 plus 6 is 11, x equals 11. 5 minus 6 is x equals negative 1. So what you're going to want to do is add and subtract there, okay? All right, so 2 answers. Which of the following is a quadratic equation? Oh, oops, I skipped 13. Express this in standard form. Okay, well what I want to do is, squared means, all right, multiply, that's a bad box, hold on. Squared means multiply by itself. So I'm going to do x negative 1, x negative 1. That's, all right, that's x squared, negative 1x, positive 1. So I got 2 times x squared minus 2x plus 1 with the plus 7 on the outside. If I distribute that, that's 2x squared minus 4x plus 2 plus 7. Okay, so my final answer there, all right, I ran out of room. We'll put that answer down here, is 2x squared minus 4x plus 9. Okay, that's the standard form. Which of the following is a quadratic? The only one that's a quadratic is D. Okay. All right, right below the equation. So so here's the idea. If I have solutions, solutions lead to factors. Factors lead to the polynomial. Okay, that's universal. So I have the solutions. Solutions are negative 2. Solution is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5. I'm sorry, that's positive 2, not negative 2. Positive 2, I got ahead of myself. As factors, that's going to be x minus 2, x plus 5. To figure this out, I'm going to use my boxes. X negative 2, x and 5. X squared negative 2x, 5x and negative 10. So as I write the polynomial for that, that's going to be x squared plus 3x minus 10. And that would be my answer there. What are the zeros of the quadratic graph above? Well, I almost had to find those to start. X equals 2, x equals negative 5. Okay? I almost needed those to proceed. Okay? Moving on, that was 16, right? Moving on to 17. What is the discriminant? Well, before we find the discriminant, we have to get everything on one side. Now, I'm going to list it in order just like we were doing before. Now, the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac, where this is a, b, c. Okay? So what I would do is negative 7 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 5. Okay? Key is use your calculator. All right? Use your calculator. All right, for that. Let me go back to menu. Okay? Now, if you want, you can always substitute them that way. All right, let me show you. If you store shift alpha, whoops. All right, alpha, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. A is 3, so 3, arrow.
Attention staff and students, this is just a reminder that the Principal's Advisory Council meeting is
shift there.
Going to start here in a couple seconds.
All right.
It will be in Mr. Beach's office today. Again, the Principal's Advisory Council is going to get started here in a couple seconds in Mr. Beach's room. Thank you.
Okay, you could put those all in that way, and then type in your formula, alpha b squared minus 4 alpha a alpha c. You can type it in that way and get 109. Okay, or what you can do is type it like I have right here. Okay, you can just use the numbers and use parentheses. If you don't use parentheses, you have a chance of being wrong. Okay, so it all depends on what you want to do. Both get you 109. You can either store them for the variables, or you can type them in with parentheses. Either way is fine, as long as you get it right. The discriminant for the quadratic is 0. What is the nature of the roots? That's 1. Okay? All right? That's going to be 1. Sketch a graph for each one. An imaginary, all right? 2 imaginary, that's not going to cross the x-axis. It's going to be above. 1 real is going to touch right on the axis. Okay? 2 real could look like that. Sketch an example for the following. 14, that's a positive number for the discriminant. Could be something like this, a negative. If it's negative, I'm going to have something like that. If it's 0, I'm going to touch it right there. Okay? Set up the quadratic formula. Don't solve. I need to move that over, so I got 9x squared plus 3x plus 4. Okay? The quadratic formula would make that negative 3 plus or minus 3 squared minus 4 times 9 times 4 all over the quantity 2 times 9. And that's all you have to be able to do there. Solve using the quadratic formula. Okay, everything's that way. So I got 1. Okay, this is A, B, and C. Okay, so I'm going to preface that up here. A, B, and C. All right. So 1 plus or minus 1 squared minus 4 times 3 times 8 all over the quantity 2 times 3. Okay? So I'm going to go in. I'm not going to use the alpha. I'm just going to use the variables. Okay? So I'm going to do 1 squared minus 4, okay, times 3 times 8. I get negative 95. Okay? So that's 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 95 over 6. Now, if I break down the square root of 95, okay, all right, I think the first thing is 5 and 19. Neither of those are going to get any smaller. Now, since I got this negative, I got to pull the I out. So that's plus or minus 95 all over 6. And that's going to be my final answer on that one. All right, solve using the quadratic formula. Okay, all right, solve using the quadratic formula. You know, one thing you should always check. If you go into the equation, what do I get there? All right, polynomial degree 2, I get 3, 5, and negative 2. All right, so I should get 1/3 and negative 2 for an answer. Okay, so let's look at that. Negative 5 plus or minus 5 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 2 all over 3 times 2. Okay, all right. All right, so you got 5 squared. Oops. 5 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 2. I get 49. So it's negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 49 all over 6. Square root of 49 is going to be 7. All right, that's negative 5 plus 7, which is 12. 12 divided by 6 would be 2. Negative 5 minus 7 would be, I'm sorry, that's not right. Let me go back, hold on. Negative 5 plus 7 would be 2. 2 divided by 6 is going to be 1/3. Negative 5 minus 12 would be minus 7 would be negative 12 divided by 6 would be negative 2. Well, let's check. Did I get those answers there when I went into my, let's go to menu, let's go back to equation. All right, solver 2. All right, and then let's solve that. Yeah, that's what I got, 1/3 negative 2. Okay? All right, solve using the quadratic formula. Once again, should I check this? Sure. Let's see what I can get there. I can get 2, 11, and 5. If I solve that, I should get negative 1/2 and negative 5 for an answer. Okay? Should get that. Negative 11 plus or minus 11 squared minus 4 times 2 times 5 all over, okay, 2 times 2. That's negative 11 plus or minus. That number underneath would be 4. Let's figure out what's underneath that square root. 11 squared, whoops, oh, I keep doing that. 11 squared minus 4 times 2 times 5. 81, okay? Square root of 81. Square root of 81 is going to be 9. Okay? Negative 11 plus 9 would be negative 2, divided by 4 would be negative 1/2. Negative 11 minus 9 would be negative 20, divided by 4 would be negative 5. And I believe that's what I got for an answer. It says now solve this problem using graphing. Okay, all right. What they want you to do is go ahead and plot those. Negative 1/2 would be like right here. Okay, negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. All right, that would be an example of solved by graphing. Okay, you could also use the calculator for that if you wanted to graph it. If you went to menu, graph. Okay, let me delete these. All right, so I got 2x squared. All right, plus 11x plus 5. Draw. I'm going to zoom. All right, so if I go over like that, I can do G-solve roots, negative 5, negative 0.5. I can even find the minimum if I want to. Okay, I didn't graph that one to scale. Okay, all right, so that's a review for quadratics. See your teacher on how they want to specifically graph you to do them. Some teachers might be okay with getting the easiest answer or easiest method to help you solve. Some might, when you do the specific method, you need to check with your teacher.